Gyles, we'd like you to begin the next round. I think this could have been chosen for you. The subject is pretentious vocabulary. And you have 60 seconds as usual. I should explain to our listeners, Gyles has never looked more eager and confident. Instead of the rather tense look he has on his face on occasions, it's all smiles and bonhomie as he goes on pretentious vocabulary, starting now.
I suspect this has come about, Nicholas, in a most amusing and delightful way, because once I said to you that a slight inclination of the cranium is as adequate as a spasmodic movement of one optic to an equine quadruped utterly devoid of visionary capacity, when I really meant a nod is as good as a wink to a blind horse. And you said, pretentious vocabulary, mon brave, we don't need any of that on our show. And I replied, in your presence, monsieur, we need to talk in the most remarkable way, because language is power. It's what defines us and differentiates us from the animals whose hands do trail upon the ground. As the great philosopher Bertrand Russell said, no matter how eloquently a dog may bark, he cannot tell you that his parents were poor but honest. A pretentious vocabulary allows this. William Shakespeare had a pretentious vocabulary of 30,000 different words. James Joyce, in just one work, Ulysses, used a comparable number, several of which I hope that you have not yet come across. Oh, my gorgeous chairman. When we speak of the language of vocabulary, pretension, beauty, earnestness, and exotic power, they all come to bear. And tension is amounting, and here we are, as the minute waltz fades away and the second series begins. The autumn comes upon us, night falls, dusk rises, and we think about our language and its beauty and richness.
Well, Gyles Brandreth started with the subject.
He's off.
I'll be on my way now.
And with a little help from the rest of the panel, who got the message which I lent out, let him go. And he went with aplomb and style for 1 minute and 15 seconds. Listeners, the audience here were in on the secret because I took the whistle out of Sarah's mouth when the 60 seconds was up, so that we can have more fun at Gyles' expense. So, Gyles, you get a point for speaking when the whistle should have gone, and you get another point for not being interrupted, actually. That's what happens in this game. So at the end of that round, you've increased your lead, and nobody else has scored anything in that round. So, Paul, would you take the next round? The subject is accents. Tell us something about accents in this game, starting now.
Many years ago, I saw the wonderful Peter Sellers on the Michael Parkinson show. And in that particular television recording, he did an impression of Alec Guinness from the film Kind Hearts and Coronets. This, of course, is the movie where the aforementioned actor plays 8 different parts. This is the vicar that I am doing now.
The first time I met the other Beatles, I thought to myself, I can't be the drummer because I've already got one.
That also is from the same movie. Accents are very important. When I joined Radio 4 back in 1986, I was told in no uncertain terms, the bins are round the back. And you know, I've never forgotten that advice. I believe it was the great Bertrand Russell himself, the philosopher, who uttered the immortal phrases, I'm sorry.
So Paul Merton started with the subject and kept going for 60 seconds without being interrupted, without hesitation, repetition or deviation, proving that he can do it as well, and in a different way, in a different voice actually as well. So at the end of that round, Paul, you are now equal in the lead with Gyles Brandreth. And we don't often get 2 complete rounds of 60 seconds in the same show, but it was a memorable moment in its own way. The audience has gone very quiet. I don't know why.
They want to buy souvenir postcards.
They're very, very afraid now. That's what's wrong.
They're in awe, actually. Graham, we're back with you to begin.
Let the buzzers begin.
I'm fascinated by why...
This is like normal play resumed.
I don't know why this subject's been chosen for you, Graham, but I'm sure you can talk on it. Waxing. 60 seconds, starting now.
I'm a little bit hairy. I mean, not furry like a monkey, but I have had some waxing done. It's really cruel and horrible, because it does rip your flesh from bits of your body that aren't normally seen, so why go to that bother? Far easier to turn a light out, I find. Waxing is also very expensive, and usually it's a strange sadomasochistic...
Paul challenge.
It's a bit elongated.
It was elongated,
yes.
but he...
I was stressing the word.
Yes, he was stressing the words.
Stressing,
and
was
elongated
stressing
it.
it, yeah.
I don't think it was enough to be interpreted as hesitation.
No.
Right? So, Paul, Graham, you have the benefit of the doubt. You have 35 seconds. Waxing is still with you, starting now.
Moons wax as well. Waxing, like something you do at a candle factory. But mainly, waxing is to do with the removal of that stuff that grows on the skin. Which I hadn't said before, I don't think, actually. I was searching when I hadn't.
That was a hesitation.
That was a hesitation, yes. He was running out of things to say. Right. Gyles, the correct challenge. 23 seconds with you on waxing, starting now.
I come naturally waxed, and that was a problem when hairiness was in. Because... I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm glad you stopped him there. Oh, dear, oh, dear.
That had to be stopped there.
Yeah.
And then...
Right, nipped in the bud.
I come naturally waxed.
Yes.
How'd you make that out, then?
Oh, get a life, man. Just cope.
No.
Cope of you being naturally waxed.
Yeah.
How can... Of deviation, you can't be naturally waxed.
I am naturally waxed. The point
Don't make him prove it, Paul.
Please. It's ugly enough as it is.
I'm inclined to agree with Paul. You can't be naturally waxed.
Again, let's not push the point. Just let him say it and get on.
Dear Lord.
But it is. It's actually a hormonal thing I'm going to explain.
What, you secrete wax? In your body?
It's a hormonal thing.
Can I say to you, can I ask you a
waxing.
straightforward question?
Yes.
Have you got any hair on your body?
No.
Yes, you do. Hey!
My head is not my body.
He's got hair on his head. He's got
My
eyebrows.
head is not my body. I've not got hair on my
Show
body.
us your chest.
Your head's not your body.
No!
Oh, for
Show us
goodness
your
sake.
chest. Come on. Come on, off. That's what they want.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
What has happened to Radio 4? It only took just a minute shouting, off. It's a world turned upside down.
It's exactly the same on Gardener's question time.
If you're not going to physically prove it, even though it is radio, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Paul and tell him to carry on with 17 seconds to go on waxing, starting now.
Used to be an essential part of the record industry when those particular discs were made of wax. If you think back to the early days of sound recording, it must have been extraordinarily difficult to fix these little waxing cylinders into the machine and try to get the reproduction of Caruso's voice.
So Paul Merton was then speaking as the whistle went and gained that extra point. He's now one ahead of Gyles Brandreth. He's a few ahead of Graham Norton, then Pauline McLean in that order. And Pauline, we'd like you to begin the next round. And the subject is junk mail. Tell us something about that in this game, starting now.
When people think about junk mail, they probably consider it to be all of those letters that gather on the carpet inside of the door. Me, not so much so. I think junk mail, I've gone out with a few of those. I've lived with them. I've married one or two. Junk mail to me is not the missive that tells you to buy something useless or tries to give you insurance that you really, really don't want. Junk...
Paul
Let me guess.
It's one of the tricks of just a minute, which is easy. We often say really, really, and that is repetition in this game. So Paul spotted it first. And you have 37 seconds, Paul, on junk mail starting now.
Junk mail has, of course, increased dramatically over the decades. We now get it electronically. It used to be just substances coming through your letterbox saying, do you want to have the cleanest windows in Norbury? Then join our free monthly offer.
Gyles,
what a boring leaflet that would have been.
Gyles, your turn.
Hesitation.
Yes, I agree with the hesitation. So, Gyles, you have 24 seconds, and the subject is junk mail starting now.
At my prep school, when I first discovered I had a hormonal problem, I used to send off at weekends for communications about this particular ailment. And as a consequence, I received a great deal of junk mail. I then began building Messerschmitts and ships, including the Titanic, and eventually decided that a Chinese boat was what I wanted.
Paul, you challenge.
Yes, I think he would have built a model of the Titanic. He won't have built the Titanic. Now, if he had, it would have sunk as well anyway. I know that. Oh, I've ruined the movie for everyone.
I explained that I was sending off for these things, a little baby Messerschmitt and a model of the Titanic.
No, you didn't say a model of the Titanic. You said, I built the Titanic. Sorry.
You did say that.
So you probably don't want to lay claim to that.
Yeah. There are still insurance issues.
Lawsuits pending.
So the benefit of the doubt to Pauline McLynn on that.
Oh my God, what am I talking about? Oh no.
Wait a minute.
All right.
It's the subject you started with, but you've got it back again. But you've only got 4 seconds, and you start now.
I've always thought that every bit of... The cruelty of it. He's going to get me on hesitation.
It was a hesitation. It was a hesitation. And I've got to be fair within the rules of just a minute.
It was a Titanic hesitation.
So, Paul, you've got 1.5 seconds on junk mail starting now.
Junk mail says...
So Paul Merton was then speaking as the whistle when gained that extra point, and he's now gone into the lead ahead of Gyles Brandreth, Graham Norton and Pauline McLynn in that order. Gyles, we're back with you to begin, and the subject is groupies. Yes. You tell us something about groupies in this game starting now.
Oscar Wilde was plagued by groupies and indeed engaged a secretary to cope with them because people were wanting his autograph and locks of his hair. After a while, one member of his staff died of the cramp and the other went totally bald. I cope with my groupies in this way. I just invite them round and say, come on in and see my natural waxing. Because they're friends. They're on my side. I know that they enjoy what they see. And they find, once upon a time, of course, I had a chest wig with matching underarm toupees. But now the groupies say to me, I have to admit to you...
Graham challenge.
Repetition of hair. Repetition of hair, anyone? Is this on? Hello? Repetition of hair.
No, he didn't say hair twice.
Yes, he did. Lock of the hair, underarm hair.
Underarm hair, well
No,
done.
underarm toupees.
He did say underarm toupees.
Spoke with chest wig and underarm toupees.
Right, you're quite right.
Of course, technically there is no such thing as an underarm toupee, but we were giving him
you're
the benefit
a bit late
of the
in
doubt.
challenging on that, aren't you?
I know, but I want him to know that I know. That's the important thing.
So,
I see
Gyles,
you, Brandreth.
You have an incorrect challenge. 23 seconds, still with you, groupies, starting now.
Sadly, my groupies are not beautiful nymphets as I would fantasize. They are older men. And most of them seem to have problem with dandruff, and they have open-toed sandals, and they have trousers that are a little bit short for them. These are people who are on day release from certain institutions.
Paul, you've
He's
challenged.
describing what I'm wearing.
Gyles was interrupted, so he has the subject still in a point, and 6 seconds on groupies starting now.
My life as a rock star was a brief one, but I have to tell you the groupies that I secured around me were the most exciting and illuminating people that I ever met.
So Gyles Brandreth was again speakers a whistle when gained an extra point. He's moved forward, but he's one behind Paul Merton, who's still in the lead. Graham Norton follows, and then Pauline McLynn. And Graham, we're back with you to begin. The subject now is a right-hand man, starting now.
A right-hand man is very useful if your own right hand is busy. Presumably, that's where the expression comes from. I can only imagine the complicated scenario in which case this actually became...
Gyles, you've challenged.
I'm saving his career.
Are you sure you're in time?
There we are.
So what is your challenge within the rules of just a minute?
My actual challenge was hesitation.
No, he didn't hesitate. He kept going. Giggled away, but he still kept going. So you still have the subject, Graham, and you have 46 seconds. A right-hand man starting now.
Everyone needs a right-hand man for those moments when you're busy and you require a supporter.
Gyles challenge.
Hesitation and sexism.
No, we'll give you the hesitation.
Thank you.
And you have the subject of Giles, 39 seconds, a right-hand man starting now.
When fighting a duel, a right-hand man is what you need to be. Because a left-handed duelist inevitably is killed in the third act, which is an awful way to go. I loathed it when I had right-hand men, or persons as I probably called them, because nowadays we are unisex and you cannot have assistance.
Paul Challenge.
Speak for yourself. Deviation, I'm not unisex. Am I, Nick? Don't look so doubtful, Nicholas. I'm not, am I?